The Australians 2. The Australians 2, well, here we have Nigel finding the fisherman in the sand. This is really the first time we found the fisherman. The Australians 2 was really just a chance to show what kind of havoc the fisherman can create and how much torment he causes Nigel and Jeff, like we have here the mirror scene. Here's Hans, who comes into play later. I just wanted to get a shot of him in there. Yes, more havoc. Really, it was just like us freaking out and trying to figure out what's going on with this fisherman. Why is he here? And why does he hate us so? And towards the end of the movie, we eventually make him disappear. We kind of win, but he seems to keep coming back, hence why we've had sequels. So really, this was just a...
The real important parts to remember are Hans and the fact that he is in the sand. It's really the only parts of this movie that I can think of
really
that are really important
remember
to the story.
The Australians 2.5. The Australians 2.5, and I believe I've made this title a little long, so we'll go ahead and start. Australians 2.5 is a bridge between Australians 2 and 3, obviously, because it's 2.5. Here we have the Minion, who has not yet returned. He's the evil snowman. He has not returned to the Australians movies yet, but keep an eye on him. He could be important in the future. Here we introduce the whole fisherman entering the dream sequence, which comes back to play in the Australians 4. And here we have some chasing scenes, just to show that more havoc is being caused by the fisherman and his minion. Here's the second part of 2.5, in which more chaos is ensuing. Here is the town sheriff, played by Jeremy Newman. He will come into play later. And yes, he disappears, so we don't really know what happened to him, but we obviously are running from the fisherman. The Australians 3, alright, now this is where the plot line really comes in. The Wizards have revived Nigel and Jeff. They have met Arnold Schwarzenegger, who claims to be an enemy of them. They also meet the fisherman, again, who has returned, and find themselves in the middle of a conflict between Arnold and the fisherman. Yes, a conflict. Over a golden soda can. But more on that later. Yes, the fisherman is still angry and still tormenting us as much as possible. However, in this movie, he really tries to get our help. But Arnold has Hans, so the fisherman... Oh, this is when we first introduced the fisherman talking. Now, okay, I'm going to try to explain this really quick. The basic story of the fisherman is that these two aliens came to the fisherman's village, Fisherman Landsville place, and brought with them the golden soda can, which makes him invulnerable to your shot. Now, that means what it means, you know, he's invulnerable to your shot. And these two aliens could come back into play later. They haven't yet, but remember them. And the golden soda can.
I need you to take us to it.
Now, here's the fisherman asking for our help in order to stop Arnold and take the golden soda can. And of course, there was an epic battle between Arnold with his minions. We fought the minions, Nigel and Jeff, and Arnold faced the fisherman. We got a couple little battle scenes in here, maybe some battle poses, just to remind you about how goofy we are. With the battle axe and the fisherman's battle pose and all that good stuff. And yeah, okay, the fisherman kind of ended up losing that battle actually, for at least the time being. And there's some minion fighting apparently. Fisherman fighting Arnold. Some fisherman fighting Arnold action. Here's the fisherman, or Arnold's transformation. Excuse me. Arnold transformed, as well as the fisherman. This is where we first introduce the giant fisherman, who definitely comes back into play in the future films. We had the battle between the mutated Arnold and the giant fisherman. Arnold wins and finds out that the golden soda can is not really golden. So it's actually a fake. Where the real one is, we won't find out till later. And here's Fisherman and Arnold having their final clash, and who comes out the victor but the fisherman. There goes Arnold. He's flying away. Gone for good. And, of course, we're freaking out because it's the fisherman. Alright. The Australians 4. Okay, so in this, the fisherman gave us a quest to look for a harmonica, $2, an elf, and a shovel. And go to Fisherman Lancel's place. So that's what we did. And he's giving us the quest right now. And once we arrived there, here's the dream sequence again. Once we arrived there, we met Katse Ergabe, the wizard. And he was going to help us with the fisherman, but first we had to battle Arnold! And he did. He battled Arnold, and he won. And Arnold was severely damaged. Here he is telling us that we need to find the golden soda can. or else we can't defeat the fisherman. Here we have the elf, the harmonica, the $2, but of course there's some controversy as always, and we got in a fight because of a misplaced harmonica by the elf. There's the fisherman. Here's the wizard telling us to get the shovel, and the fishermen are everywhere in the fisherman's base, and we wind up losing the fight. But magic happens, courtesy of Katsei Urgerbe. Thank you, Katsei. Battle repeats itself, and we wind up kicking butt! Yeah, alright. And the fisherman mutates into his giant form, where he does battle with Arnold again. He comes back battle wounded from his first battle with Katsei Urgerbe. And there they are fighting, fighting. Oh, and he lost. And here the elf reveals his true purpose, working for the fisherman. He's been sabotaging us all along, but we give him the $2, and he's like, oh, sweet, thanks. And here's Katsei fighting the fisherman, distracting him while we go find the golden soda can! We found it! And Nigel destroys it, so the fisherman is no longer invulnerable to your shot. Katsei says that the fisherman has gone away, he's going to look for him, and we decide to leave. Katsei discovers Hans 2.0. The Australians 5, alright, the recent Australians. First we get a letter from Katsei saying here's Hans 2.0, and there's Hans 2.0 right there. And we're freaked out. Hans 2.0 agrees to join us with his fisherman radar. He's going to help us find the fisherman, and we discover Ferris. Ferris, who is also wanting to help us fight the fisherman. And so he joins us. We also meet our rival, Nature Dude Fat Bass O'Houlihan, who challenges us to do a documentary on the fisherman. While at the fisherman's lair, we find a note that says, born in the sand, dead in the dirt, excuse me. It's from Katsei Urgerbe. Hans is bribed by the fisherman and eventually winds up disappearing. We cannot find Hans, so we decide to split up and look for... Well, we don't split up yet. Excuse me. Fat Bass is doing a documentary on the fisherman when he discovers something strange about the fisherman that he does not know. After being separated and being reunited, Ferris comes back and tells us that he has a plan to fight the fisherman. We're going to ambush him. Fat Bass shows up and decides to share the secret of the fisherman, saying that if the fisherman is weak, he will go to the water and recharge, and that's like his weak point. We find the fisherman, we charge him, we fight him. We're going to fight him, we're getting ready to fight him, and then he reveals his new secret, the ability to clone. And we have an epic battle. Ferris tells us a whole bunch of information about the fisherman being found in the sand, but first he's going to charge here. Let's wait till his monologue starts. Oh, Ferris is knocked out. Oh. He tells us about the fisherman being found in the sand. He also tells us about a curse placed on the whole Bahuka tribe, turning them into sand and wooden fishermen. That spell was placed by the old witch Spella, which we see here. He tells us that if the fishermen touch ground, they're dead. And here we find out that he's the town sheriff. Ferris is the town sheriff. Hans returns and cannot beat the fisherman. Arnold returns, strangely, not dead. He reveals that he is going to help us fight the fisherman with his last ounce of strength. And he does so. He fights the fisherman in his newly giant form. And winds up not so successful, Arnold, but he did manage to weaken the fisherman because he went to the water and Fat Bass threw the sheriff's badge, knocked him over, gave us an opportunity to smash the fisherman into the dirt, and the fisherman disappeared. Fat Bass went to shoot his nature show, Hans went to Tokyo, and we went back inside, and we're